people that shoot porn actresses, we all are very dialed in on how to show a character sexually. So if you tell me what a character is, I can tell you exactly how she fucks. But dialogue-wise, sometimes we don't get as much of an opportunity.
Welcome to the official Hard Stop reunion show. This is a special episode of the Adult Time podcast. I'm Bree Mills, and I am here with my incredible cast from this incredible film. Please introduce yourselves, everyone. Who wants to start?
My name is Sarah Arabic. I'm playing Vanessa, the role of a very disturbed teacher. I don't know how much more you want me to add to this.
Oh, we'll get into it.
Okay.
We'll get into it. That was perfect.
Sarah Arabic as Vanessa.
Reagan Foxx as Claire.
I am Anna Claire Clouds as Olivia. I'm a sex addict as well. Hi.
My name is Kenna James, playing Emily.
I'm Little Puck, playing Jasmine.
And I'm Olivia Jay, and I'm playing Dr. J, the therapist.
Awesome. And we are actually back here for this special episode of the podcast on the Hard Stop set. So I thought it was a fitting reunion environment to bring us all back to therapy one last time to talk about this incredible project. This is being released at the same time as the film, so hopefully a lot of people have already checked it out. But if you haven't, I'll give a little bit of context into my inspiration behind writing this project. I've been interested in the subject of addiction and people's relationships with addiction, both those who are struggling through addiction themselves, but also those who are around them. And I knew I wanted to tell that story, and within the subject of an adult film, to root it within the subject of sex addiction. So I went and researched what are the most kind of common reasons why women enter SLAA. And what I found the most interesting was that the most common reasons for going into treatment really correlate with some of the most popular fantasies in porn. And I thought, oh, that's kind of interesting. And to me, it sort of speaks about the duality of just, how sexuality can be used for really positive things, but also kind of create, complicated relationships. And I think certainly, for me, I wanted to tell a story about women and women's individual relationship with sexuality, especially as it's shaped by others, and then really finding the start of building confidence and a positive relationship with sexuality through the friendship of other women. And so that was my secret agenda behind this film. And I also wanted it to be a film that featured a great ensemble cast. And so each of you were cast because of the work we've done together or the work I've seen you do for other Adult Time projects. And I had this feeling that bringing you all together, especially the core six, that something magic was going to happen. And we're like, a week out of the wrapping of production, and I think in this space, it's kind of, to me, become a space that's really always going to remind me of the powerful performances that the six of you gave within these walls, right? So my icebreaker for today is I'd love to hear from each of you, what did you anticipate going into this production? Because some of you have worked with me before and some of you haven't. What did you anticipate going into this production? And then what was the most unexpected thing you learned after doing it? So whatever victim wants to start.
I won't lie, I did anticipate that every single person was gonna come in and just be on their game. Because I do know this group, I've only heard incredible things about them. But, so I knew that when I came in, everyone would have their lines. It would be not definitely not easy days, but like working with this group of people, we would really be acting rather than trying to remember what we're doing. Because I definitely anticipated to be working with a grade A cast because, I mean, look at them, they're freaking incredible. But I didn't anticipate, I was saying this earlier with Kenna, when I read the lines for everyone else, I workshopped my own character, but when I read the lines for everyone else, I didn't know how they would really be said, so I didn't anticipate really feeling the story through what everyone else brought to their character. Because, reading it on my own, I was like, yeah, I words on a paper. But then hearing them, I didn't anticipate how real their stories would feel, which is really cool. So I anticipated that you guys would be great, but I didn't know you'd be that great, basically. That's what I'm trying to say.
There's something so raw when you're doing it at home and you're doing it by yourself and you feel like you have the lines and the inflection and the cadence and the gestures or whatever, but when you're playing it against other people who are bringing all of their powerful raw dynamic energy by even just being silent, it changes how you even perform and then you're feeding off of each other, and that was just extremely intense. Yeah. The thing that The thing that I didn't, or that I was excited to learn, because I had seen on the cover, we had the little artwork for Hardstop, and we had each a different little color, shirt on. I didn't recognize or realize that each of our scenes had a different color palette that it was shot in, and I thought that was so cool to see your guys' just a little behind the scenes.
I think one of the most unexpected things was how we shot this whole feature with the sex first, and then kind of allowing us to just focus on the characters and how they develop over the next week. I think that was a great choice because, I think we've talked about this before, where the sex scenes were, for the most part, I think, except for Reagan, was it's their old selves, it's all of the women's past, I guess, sexual issues that they've had before that led them to go to the therapy session. So once they started, going to therapy, I think shooting that after really allowed us to explore the characters much deeper and kind of, it was challenging, but in a good way.
I always like to create kind of experiences for actors on set where you organize the shoot in such a way that you're helping them to build their characters and kind of take them on a journey. And so when I did the first sort of version of the script, I knew that I wanted to encapsulate all the sex scenes as flashbacks, with the exception of the opening scene, which is sort of your present day, essentially intervention moment. When I was putting together the schedule, which for me is part of how I write and then I schedule it, because if I can make it work in a schedule, it means we can film it, and if it doesn't work in a schedule, it means I need to probably do some edits. So when I was putting it together, I wanted to prioritize shooting the sex scenes to be able to devote more attention to them, and then the schedule started to appear where I'm like, wow, these are, I can get these in at the beginning, and it made me think, isn't that going to be an interesting way for you all to live, in a sense, in the most heightened memory of your excess, so that when you recall it later, it will feel real. So I'm happy that translated with you, because for me it was also a really cool way to frame the sex and to pay attention to it as well.
It definitely was really cool because for people that shoot porn actresses, we all are very dialed in on how to show a character sexually. So if you tell me what a character is, I can tell you exactly how she fucks. But dialogue-wise, sometimes we don't get as much of an opportunity. So being able to dial that in sexually and then come in and just have a really fun time with the dialogue it was a great way for people that shoot porn to workshop that. It was really comfortable space for sure.
And there was a moment you said with each of us during our sex day where you were that's that character coming out, and so we were able to kind of hone in on that and bring that to the dialogue days too. We were able to be that's that piece of it coming out in sex Yeah.
Yeah, and I will forever look at each of you, and with the exception of our therapist who does not have sex in the movie.
Today. You'll get her. She'll get her moment today. You'll be like, this is where I felt like you really were leading the group.
No. Olivia's character is a very well-educated, well-meaning therapist that is there to help you all, not to seduce you all.
Yes.
Wait, I mean,
At the reunion special.
In like an hour.
but the outfits. Can we just take one moment to talk about the outfits? Throwing fits every single.
Yeah, who's unexpected walk away was how stylish Olivia Jay's character was.
After the first two, I was just like waiting.
Yeah.
I was like, what's the next outfit? What's the next? When she, I think my outfit for when I was saying my stuff, I liked my outfit the best, the brown pants and the black top. I was like, oof, yes, banging. That's so good. I love that outfit so much.
So the anecdote was for all the women in the therapy over the 7-day arc of the story. You come in sort of dressed in your excess, and by the end of it, I don't want to say frumpy, but like by the end of it, you've shed your need for a physical appearance and leaned more into like you're taking care of your emotional state. But Olivia just looked banging the entire time.
Amazing. Just so good. No flaw. Like no flaw.
Yeah, just like full fashion show. So no, that for sure is an unexpected highlight. Okay, who have we not heard from so far? Our protagonist, Claire.
My unexpected, I expected everyone to do really well, and everyone did. I didn't. My unexpected was to actually have that feeling when we were all here in the therapy room. I felt almost like I was an empath. I've never felt like that before. I felt like I had a cord plugged into me, and it was plugged into all of you all. And everything you all felt, I felt, and I couldn't hide it, and it was almost embarrassing because anything you were saying, because I read through the book and I learned everything, but I didn't go over your voiceovers on purpose because I wanted to see how you brought it. I wanted to see what you said, and it was touching, and that was my takeaway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, and, I think Anna Claire, you said like not truly knowing how everybody was going to take a spin on their character too until you saw it live, but having everybody everybody was off book, so we spent our time basically filming, and because it's a big group, we had to film every sequence, like 6 to 8 times in the round. So it was like doing, you all were just doing a play that we were filming. So being really able to like spend the time to just, and with heavy material, doing, everybody's sort of confessional 6 to 8 times,
And we're crying every time.
And you're crying every time.
I guess that wasn't unexpected. Like I knew we'd have to do several takes, but I was like, oh God, this is okay. It's like, all right, reset.
Yeah.
But I feel that sometimes if you cried and sometimes you didn't, then obviously you're bringing different. We all brought something
Absolutely.
different that you make and choose whatever works. So
Yeah.
There's a movie where I think Brokeback Mountain, actually, Anne Hathaway, she's told to do 2 takes where one, she's aware that her husband has been cheating on her, and one where she's unaware. And they mix those 2 together to create the final, what we see in the final movie. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Doing different, I think in mine, that's one thing that Puck said. In mine, I just kind of let the character say what she wanted in a few of them, which was different from some of the takes. But I think that having that variety and that chaotic, emotional roller coaster might even be better depicted with all the takes that you guys had rather than just one single one, because there's a lot of different things I was feeling.
Oh yeah. Well, and everybody was, even when it wasn't somebody's, time in the hot seat, everybody was reacting. So there was so much to capture from every single one of those sequences. That's why also too, we pretty much focused on just doing a couple of them a day so that we could spend the time, doing them well. Otherwise it would have maybe had other emotions come out at a certain point. What was unexpected for you, Olivia?
I think the most expected thing for me was playing the therapist. I had to be very grounded and calm You know, even when the scenes got heavy, like, trust me, I was right there with you guys. Like, I was feeling it too. I'm like, you know, just trying to hold it together, but still like holding space for all of you.
Yeah, and being the one that like kind of brought everybody back a little
Yes.
bit too, right? Yeah, yeah.
I felt a little bad because my character felt like my character's been here about 4 times. I have a very deep relationship with Dr. J, apparently. I've seen her a lot. So when I was doing my kind of moment, I was talking directly to her. And I was really, I mean, I feel like I was laying it all out on you. And I felt so bad because I was like, God, and she did so incredible. You stayed so grounded and really were just, did just a very level voice of reason, safe space for everyone through the whole thing, but I definitely felt really bad when I was doing my thing.
Don't feel bad.
I love it. I was like, because I was like, after every time I was like, whew, I just stared at her for like 2 minutes and like cried and yelled. But you did so incredible.
So let's talk about everybody's individual character a little bit and some of, I guess, the motivations behind how you chose to ultimately play your character. Because beyond what was written and, you know, the strategic casting of knowing I picked each of you for, you know, kind of with knowing that you could push for that character. What did you bring to that character? And what was sort of part of your process in creating each of your characters?
I feel like I pulled a lot of personal experience from my character, or from my real life, and put it into Emily. Because I was in a relationship where I was repressed for years and years, and so I went out and I would find my own pleasures. So it wasn't too hard to tap into that for my character. And I really feel like I got to bring her to life with that and just really explore that whole, where that could have actually gone in my life, and like think about the consequences that I could have had and just watch it all unravel.
Anna Claire, you had a cast.
Oh yeah. Well, okay. So that was a part of the character that was not real. I'm just kidding. No, I did hurt myself. I did my sex scene, my flashback. Thank goodness. All well elbow. But then I came back with a cast. So adult time, absolute kings and queens of putting anything into a character. We added that to my sex addict, just absolutely feral, complete. I imagine my character as the worst man you've ever met in a woman's body. Just absolutely, just savage animal of a sexual being. But I had a masturbation accident because I was in jail for a while, so I only had myself to please. But I think what I brought to my character, I allowed not only to tell the story in my head, but to really feel this sense of mania, this sense of like losing yourself in the ability to convince yourself that something is true. Because I think the humans are very, very smart and very strong, and our brains can convince ourselves of anything, including that this is, even if it's something that I don't want, I can convince myself that I would want that. And I allowed myself to kind of do that and go into this really manic, uncontrollable state of trying to convince myself and everyone else around me. So little man syndrome, basically. I was allowing myself to just like try my hardest to overdo the fact that I want everyone to see me and see that I like this, and it's just almost so painful to even look at. I just wanted it to be painful for you guys to look at me when it came to seeing how I was addressing the way I was feeling, so that no one would actually be able to really look at me. And that's, for some reason, so that's what I really tried to bring to my character, is this real deep emotional background that I just built up in my head, which I think we all can connect to. Maybe it's not sex-wise, but there's been times in my life where I've convinced myself that, well, I don't want to talk about this to people, so like I'll just make it seem like it's fine.
Yeah.
It's a very common thing for people to do, but I just really took it one step further and allowed it to become real.
Yeah.
And I want it to be just as painful for everyone to see as it was for me to feel.
I liked how your characters, you specifically were the one who ad-libbed the most, right? Stuck to the book, but you're, I think, in the spirit of wanting to be that kind of, take it to that place of pure mania. Yeah, kind of adding in a lot of dialogue. So a lot of you were like the script, and then you added those additional moments, some of which were, I think, really, really helped make the character. Yeah.
I think that in the actual script, when I was reading it, I was like, she's really funny. Like, she really is really funny, but this is just not the humor that is appropriate at all right now. And as you guys were doing your things, like, I didn't expect to do any of the things I added at all. But when you guys were doing your stuff, it just seemed so, it was just like, this is what you would do. Way too serious right now. Need to just do something.
It's good to have those moments of levity too, because you need it to balance out everything. And the sharp contrast is really nice.
And I think it'll be good in the final edit to, like, have me really just searching for this relief that you guys never gave me. You guys didn't laugh with me. You guys kind of let me just sit there in this uncomfortability while you guys were uncomfortable with me, which I think is just exactly what it needed.
Yeah.
There's a line in my character's voiceover that will play right before my sex scene that is like, I chose to consume them before they could consume me. And I felt that line so hard because in my own personal experiences when I was growing up, I had a very restrained, difficult, repressed relationship with sex. And as I grew into my sexual experiences and I was so disassociated from my own body and my own sexual pleasure that I made it much more about control and wanting to just to consume other people, to literally do that line. But without me actually getting anything from it. And so as I was working through that character and working through that script, I felt very much tied to her need to feel like she's in control, but realize as she's speaking to everyone here that she was not in control anymore. And I've had moments in my life where and you had actually said this to me, where you were like, you're letting the character, I'm sorry, what's the word? You're letting the character,
It's it's not that you're thinking about it and then saying it. It's that while you're saying it, it's a character.
She's realizing, she's realizing it as she's saying it out loud. She had never even, I was speaking the words that I hadn't even as it was coming through me or whatever. And I've had those moments in my life where there's these breakthroughs where I keep just saying the things and realizing them out loud in this kind of circular pattern. And I kind of felt that with how I was performing her, because I was like, this is how, it's that manic kind of laughter, because you're just like, oh my fucking God, this is what it is. So yeah, it was rough, but it was good, and it was kind of cathartic too. Yeah. It was therapy.
Yeah, we had said on set that it's not that you have to feel the feelings; it's that you get to feel them.
Yes.
And that's what acting is. It's you get to really feel those feelings, and as much as you're willing to, that's the performance that you have. And all of us, I mean, Puck's performance was just incredible. I was just so incredible. I read her thing and I was like, when you did it, I was just shocked. I was just absolutely shocked. It was so much more than what the paper could have ever. Yeah. The paper was not giving. It wasn't in Puck, and I was like, wow, okay.
Well, I'll tell you about Puck. The first time I ever met Puck was on another project, and I had cast her. It was a collab project with Cote d'Ivoire, and she said, you really need, I don't want to push you to cast anybody, but if you could cast, if I could say one recommendation, please cast Little Puck. She's incredible, and I think once you meet her and work with her, you will see. And so I cast Puck. Puck came in, was the only person that day off book, full off book, and had even written and memorized lines of dialogue to say during the sex scene. And I was so impressed with just you know, like what we all witnessed, just seeing the instant performance.
Yeah.
And a really strong one. And then I think the second time we worked together, you had a voiceover, and it was just like watching a one-woman play. And so I will say I knew with that one, because it was sort of, it's one of the more meaty monologues in terms of words. Yeah, I knew that it would be like you would get up on that stage and just nail that one. So yeah, and you definitely, you set the bar high early on in the, you were early on in the confessionals that and inspired everyone around you for sure.
Definitely. Like I definitely feel like I learned exactly how I wanted, got a much cleaner idea of exactly how I wanted to do my character through seeing your performance, for sure.
I love that we can help each other out like that. Like, 'cause we were just all bouncing off of each other's energy, like every single time, every single take. And just like the little things that you were doing, like the little humorous things helped me try to figure out different ways of moving through the script that weren't just the intensity, because you need to have flow.
Yeah, it was the same way running through the monologue, and everybody's little quips coming in helped so much feed into that feeling of like,
Because I know mine was just like shut down and looking at the floor, and the whole time, like every time you'd snicker or say something, it reinforced that idea of like, yep, stay right here. Just stay right here with it. And it was absolutely amazing.
With Sarah, with your character, it was definitely a challenge in the sense of like, I think in terms of the duality of fantasy versus reality, perhaps no one had it harder than your character, right? Where, you know, your character who is seeking validation, and it's easy to get attention and validation from people that are not in positions of power when you are in one, but your character really not connecting the dots that what you did was wrong, and like that denial, the current of denial, right?
Yeah, she was definitely like delusional
Yeah.
in that way. And I mean, I think that's what made playing that part kind of interesting, because not every part you get is going to be something that you relate to, but at the same time, you kind of have to disconnect from reality and be like, okay, what does she feel like? Why is she choosing the decisions that she's choosing? And she was delusional. And at a certain point, even during the sex scene, she was telling her, my co-partner, my scene partner, I was telling him to tell me to love me, and then over and over until she had an orgasm. So she was kind of feeding that, or she's connecting love with the euphoria that you get from climaxing. And somehow in her brain, those lines got crossed. And it was, yes, I think that was the challenging part, is trying to put myself in that shoes. But it was interesting. I mean, I definitely thought it was a great experience to do that. It definitely allowed me to push myself outside my comfort level and see how I can portray something that, you know, I might not, you know, like, or not even just like connect with in any way, but just seeing how I can take that.
Yeah.
It's definitely an interesting.
You had the hardest, like, one to try to connect with.
Sometimes you have to disconnect.
Yeah. But I think you know, like as it manifests in different ways. But the idea of like, you know, denial being such a powerful, you know, drug in and of itself, right? Where like you can, I think to quote your character, if you don't want to believe in it, then you don't have to feel bad about it.
Yeah,
And
if you don't think it's
if
bad,
you don't think it's bad, then why would you feel bad about it? And that's the thing, is your character feels very justified in what you're doing, because in your frame of reference, it is love, it is legitimate. People just don't understand. And you yourself have to kind of come to realize, oh, I was actually just sort of like creating this fictional situation to make myself feel better, when obviously, you know, one should not be dating their students, even when they are 18 and consenting. 18 and consenting.
I really like Sarah's character though, because it does, as weird and hard to connect with it as it is, it does make sense that somebody that is interested in someone that young would have this concept that is so young and naive and almost immature about what love is.
Yeah,
You
that
know,
makes sense.
so I really did.
Yeah, she's immature in her own way.
She's immature, so of course
Yeah.
she is.
And again, when we look at the duality, right, of like, people that are having inappropriate, relationships, but that, teacher-student fantasy is like one of the most popular porn fantasies. So, that's also, I wanted to kind of challenge the double standards. Same thing with like Reagan's character's realization that, she essentially has become, her stepfather incarnate because of what she experienced with him. And we all know the sort of step-family stuff is the most popular scenario. That's not actually at all a happy fantasy story, but it's probably going to be, well, I mean, I watched it. It's a pretty good to the fantasy. But in the context of this, you realize like, oh, maybe I should think about it differently, right? So hopefully it will leave some people thinking. But yeah, definitely with your character. And talking about denial, Claire, it took her a while to open up.
She's still learning.
She's still learning. But I loved your comment about feeling that sense of empathy throughout, because your character had to sit to the very end. Really one of the last things we shot was that final scene. So your character did have to go through it to get to her point. So how did that experience feel for you?
When we got done, I felt like maybe I had put too much, maybe put a little bit too much into it. I also was off book, but that particular part was very difficult for me to learn. I honestly did not really relate to some of your stories, but there was some things within Little Puck's story that hit, and at that point, I knew I wasn't going to be able to really recover, because at that point, it was becoming a little personal for me, and I realized that I do have some feelings that I needed to work out, and I think that cry that I had on camera, it was a cry that I haven't had, that I needed probably in 30 years. So for me, it was, I don't honestly like playing roles like that. I felt really bitchy, and I'm not that way. I'm like super quiet and meek. And so for me, it was a lot for me to try to pull out that mom self that maybe how my kids foresee me and so forth.
Yeah, it was really hard snapping at you in that scene. I felt so bad every single time I did it.
When we wrapped and went upstairs, I felt completely depleted in a way that I wasn't really expecting.
Yeah. Well, I think it was a hard ask of everybody to kind of put ourselves all in that mindset. And I'm grateful for the fact that you all, came into it knowing that it would be, even if it wasn't quite even if everyone didn't expect that you were going to walk away with such real feelings from it, the level of commitment was clearly there. And I think, again, looking at this as the film that it is, because we're releasing the uncensored version of it, but we're also putting out a mainstream cut for it that, people can watch. It really is a testament to the power of acting, especially within our industry. And, we don't oftentimes get a chance to really show what we can do when the talent is so clearly there. So I think, if anything, you all have really underscored that point with this ensemble cast. And I know, Olivia, you had mentioned that you had, some past life experiences working in different aspects of not quite being a therapist, but within the sort of social work space and reform space. So how did you bring that into your character?
Yes, so prior to getting into the adult industry, I used to work in a jail. And, we did have units with rehab units. Mm-hmm. So, I feel like I would come in every day trying to motivate the ladies to do better and, just make better choices. And also in my personal life, I've watched loved ones deal with addiction. Mm-hmm. So like I know exactly how ugly addiction can get. So like yeah, I was able to bring that into the character, that empathy.
So I'm going to ask each of you one more hard question, and then we'll and then we'll end with something lighter. So start thinking about your favorite bloopers. No, but okay. So I want to ask a question to each of y'all that to kind of connect. I think what's interesting, about this movie is, it's really, the film is really an exploration of like universal struggles that people face relating sexuality, but certainly like women face. And I want to be able to draw some parallels from your own insights and experiences into your characters. So I'm going to start with you, Kenna, in the hot seat. So, your character obviously lives a double life, suppressing her sexuality in public while, sort of secretly seeking release in increasingly high-risk ways. In contrast, your kind of career and your experience within the industry itself, do you feel like that's offered you a safe space, empowered space to explore your sexuality, rather than having to keep it suppressed and hidden like so many people do?
Very much so. I actually attribute the adult industry to the majority of the exploration I've had throughout my sexuality. I had primarily been with girls before I'd gotten to the industry. I think I'd been with maybe 2 or 3 guys. And being able to not only start to have those multiple partners in a very safe place and getting to actually explore, okay, how far do I want to go? Like, how far can I push my limits and like in this safe place? And I found out a lot about myself, a lot about what I liked, a lot about what I didn't. And it's really nice being able to do that in a place where I feel very protected and get to carry that on throughout the rest of my life, knowing that this is exactly what I wanted.
Mm-hmm. Anna, in an interview that we did for the Adult Time podcast, not this one, but another one we did, you mentioned that you don't feel like you have a sex addiction, but rather great sex enthusiasm.
I'm very enthusiastic fuck.
So how would you describe your relationship with sex now that it has transitioned from a hobby and a point of enthusiasm to a career?
I mean, and I'm going to tie this into my character because we might as well. I think that, unknown thing about, therapy, sex addiction therapy, you have this community that you are learning to have a positive sexual experience with, even if you're not having sex with them. We were talking about sex. This is a sexual experience. So even though I might not be a sex addict, I have this incredible community of people within porn that I have positive sexual experiences with all the time. So I think without this community, sure, maybe I would be able to say this is not as positive for me as it is, and it's not an enthusiasm. It's a real, why do I keep doing this? It's not as fun. Yeah. But I have such an incredible community of people and amazing friends that they're just not only wonderful people to talk to about life and love and anything, but talk to about sex and talk to about experiences, and that's what porn really is for me. So I think it's really easy to not have this type of a word like addiction wrapped around it, or something that like any negative connotation directed towards it, because I get so much more from it than just great fucks. Like that is probably about 10% of what porn gives me. Porn gives me so much more. Mm-hmm. And yeah. I think that is something that the one thing that I was able to really connect on Olivia with is finally finding, I personally have always had a wonderful relationship with sex for my whole life. I've been very open. I love sex. I think it's incredible, even chemically, what happens in your brain. I think sex is really cool. But with Olivia finding this community for the first time that really looks at it in the same way as she does, that's what porn did for me. Mm-hmm. So that's, even though I might not have been able to connect with like this manic obsession in the way that she had, that's one thing I was able to say, oh yeah, porn gave me that. Yeah. So I know what it's like to finally find a group of people in general that look at the weird parts that other people might think, the way my brain works, you guys think the same way. And even if you don't, then we're going to talk about it just fine. So.
Yeah, because of the communication aspect of it, right, and the safety aspect of it as well, for sure.
It's incredible. It's such porn's given me so much that probably would have to go to therapy if I didn't do porn, to be honest, because like the sense of community, I was like, I didn't know there was so much community in group therapy. Well, of course there is, but I basically have group therapy, like just this community.
That's a joke I make a lot when I do like collabs and stuff, is that like, because I've been doing sex work now for 12 years, is usually when the model comes over, the girl comes over, then we'll have like a good, 40 minutes to an hour of just like talking through shit. Like what have your experience has been like? How are you doing? Who to watch out for? What are you liking? Like, and there's just so much good, beautiful, wholesome stuff that comes out of it. Like, and that word is used so much in porn too, I've discovered, is that wholesome. Because I get these genuine connections with people because we're laying it all out there. We have to be so vulnerable with each other. We have to feel safe with each other, and we're building in that structure and remaining like having that integrity to that structure of safety and consent and everything, and knowing that we got each other's back and across so many lines. It's lovely.
If it's so funny, right? Because obviously outside perception is so incredibly different about the true, like, often very wholesome aspects of our industry. It's interesting how it's just, no matter how much we share about that, it's just a hard nut to crack in terms of perception.
I mean, it's just hard. People have one-night stands as comparisons, but I might meet one person one time, and like you said, we have this integrity when it based around our job to make things safe for everybody and to have great sex. So their comparison is a one-night stand to what mine is what Puck has, which I've spent 4 hours with this person, and I know exactly their plans for the next 2 months. Like, you know what I mean?
Well, and we take for granted too. And I mean, I know that standards have certainly improved, but we take for granted now, I think, just like all the focus around healthy communication and fostering healthy communication. I know for sure, like before I started in the industry, like my communication around sex was like nada. It was sort of like, you just trying to make sure everything was okay with, whoever you were with. And like, it has opened my eyes so much to the importance and also like the comfort levels from everybody feeling okay to be vulnerable and all that stuff. And speaking about kind of the duality of fantasy versus reality in this movie, Puck, so your character in the film thrives on, reckless sex and sort of chasing that rush and keeping that control until she confesses that moment of losing control. How has working in the industry helped to provide like that sort of kind of safe and controlled environment to explore your own desires and kinks? And like, in your opinion, how do you feel like societal expectations influence the kinks that end up becoming the most popular?
Those are two very big questions, Bree.
I'm gonna hit you with it. Listen, I credit Jared from our team with
chunky dialogue.
Yeah, chunky dialogue.
Well, to answer the first question, this is actually very fitting because just a few days ago, I shot for Raunch for Adult Time, which is a very kinky freak fest, if you so wish it to be. And I had a meeting, like a phone call with the director and one of the production managers or assistant, something, Danae, lovely, thank you, Danae. And we went through exactly what I had hoped for the scene and all the weird stuff that I wanted to do to make sure that everything complied with the rules and that, everything was going to be kosher and safe and everything. And then I get to show up to set and choose my weapons, basically.
Oh boy.
My weapons of kink. And we just did some crazy, crazy stuff. And there was like oil everywhere and everything. But the thing, besides the wild sex that I had, that really stuck with me for that day is that, there was some oil in the beginning of the scene. So I'm on a concrete floor in a bathroom with no surfaces to really fuck on that are like that solid or whatever. And as soon as I start to move, I'm like, oh no, this is not going to be good. And the director sees what's going on. He comes over, he takes Dawn dish soap and some brooms and just cleans the entire floor. And he's like, not today. Like, you're going to be safe today. And he does it like 2 or 3 times. Like, there is no point in that very, very like ridiculous over the top sex scene that I'm going to feel unsafe because I know that everyone is watching me and that like, my back is covered. I'm safe. And so I just got to focus on the sex and the performance and so nice to be able to let go in that way while still knowing that I am in control. I have the power of cut at any time. Big deal. Yeah. I don't know your other question. Don't remember.
All right. Well, let me pose this though to the group because we could talk forever, but we will need to get on to other things soon enough. So I mentioned at the beginning that what struck me when I was researching for this film was how some of the most common reasons women enter SLAA is also conveniently some of the most sort of popular subject matter for kind of porn fantasies. So, how do you feel that sort of society sort of shapes fantasy, and how do we continue to maybe influence that in positive directions while still, having fun within the fantasies themselves, right? Not letting them get to a point of being destructive.
I just feel like that's all about the framework of what you think porn is for. I don't think porn is educational material. I do understand that we are looked at by a lot as educational material, but I don't think it's education on sex. I think it's education on desire and how to, in a healthy way, experience desire that you can have basically manufactured from the safety of your own home. I think it's kinky to, for me personally, I think it's kinky to imagine getting fucked by a priest in a church. I'm not going to go and do that randomly because I watched a video on Pornhub. I've said this in another podcast before. People don't all of a sudden go pick up a football because they're really into Madden on the PS4. Like, that's not, I know that a lot of things are attributed to entertainment, but a lot of the time things are just purely entertainment. But porn, we can't pretend that it is only entertainment. It is a much deeper sensation that someone might feel, and it's not as well talked about as it should be, so there is something built around it in a lot of people's heads. But I think that, I don't know, I just think it all depends on the framework that you put porn into. I think porn is desire, so I think that if I desire seeing some creepy stepdad porn, then that's easy and lovely to be able to manufacture that on my little 6-inch phone rather than having to build something. I don't know. It just feels it's not an education in my opinion. There is some education, of course, but it's not. I think it's desire. It's an education on desire and how to really experience something safely.
Yeah. Like, even I feel like reading everybody's stories, there's some of the flashbacks that I have read for some of the girls. I'm like, I actually do enjoy, like, I kind of like it as a fantasy or even not, but there were definitely stories within that I thought were incredibly hot, and I do watch it in porn format for sure. And I guess in one way I do relate with the character in terms of having fantasies of being like a professor or someone older because of that kind of power dynamics. But when it comes to me as a viewer, if I'm a viewer watching this, I understand that that's a fantasy, not real life. I understand like the limits of where it like starts and where it stops. And I think that's like, I want to say that most of the viewers are like that. At least that's what I hope. Is they understand the difference between fantasy and reality.
Yeah.
There is this like strange thing too that we're filming porn, we're making movies. Movies are limited to the confines of the camera. Okay, so and a lot of porn needs to have some sort of power dynamic or some sort of story that goes attached to it. So like the home itself is going to center a lot of role play and a lot of dynamics. And guess who's in the home? The nuclear family. So it's easier for us to be able to create those stories, but then it kind of like feeds itself.
Yeah.
And so at what point is the snake stopping to eat, not eating its tail anymore? Like, it's...
The kind of line that I've always, because I definitely like, especially from my vantage point, I look out with not a sense of accountability, but definitely a sense of social responsibility in terms of, you know, content that's going out there. And I think one thing that's very important is to recognize that we are making, you know, works of fiction. And, you know, the same reason why you're not going to play football from playing a video game necessarily, or you're not going to like go, you know, murder people after watching a horror movie. Like, you know, why should we be held to a different standard? But at the same time, we know the influence that our content has because there is a lack of kind of consistency in education and awareness, and, you know, especially, you know, in our society, you're kind of left to the devices of, you know, your parents or your community or your, you know, background to determine what kind of education you have, and that can really vary greatly. So I think that having that diversity in content is also an important part of it. So like, yes, we can have people stuck in washing machines where their stepmom comes in, you know, that pays the bills. We can do that. we can do that, and there should be a place for that. It's no different than like a slapstick comedy, you know, like again, there should be a place for that kind of entertainment. It might not be highbrow, but like you know, if people enjoy it, cool. But we should also counterbalance that with, you know, projects that tackle different subjects and show different, you know, dynamics and body types and all of that. You know, like it's important to kind of counterbalance. So I feel at the end of the day, that's the best thing we can do as the entertainers, is just provide a buffet of savory selections, and some of them might be more savory than others. But, you know, that's a way that you can point to, you know, a lot of times people will say like, you know, all you do is, you know, this. And you can be like, well, actually we made this documentary series, or we made this, you know, this movie. And so even a movie like Hard Stop is, you know, to me, it's fundamentally a movie about women's relationships with sexuality and women's relationships with each other. And we need more conversations about that. We need more movies about that. So regardless of whether there's sex in it or not, it's really important subject matter. So it's good to offer up that stuff as well. Okay, let's end with a light note before okay? All right, so I want you each to think of what would be, I guess it doesn't have to be a light note. What would be your favorite moment, that like kind of behind the scenes moment making this movie that stands out the most to you, that you will, when you think back on this experience in 5 years, what moment are you going to think about? Oh yes. Hugging Foxx.
I'm glad ours was the same.
Yeah. We were just like sprawled out on the floor after this extremely emotional, just like cry fest.
Yeah.
And we were sitting there holding each other for a good minute or two.
A good minute, yeah.
Just
Even after it
really-
said cut.
Yeah, we were just like,
no,
no,
need a minute.
No cut.
You're like, this is real.
Yeah,
This is very real.
Yeah, I think that was around when Siren Obscura, who was our DOP for the project, was also crying behind the camera. It was about that moment. Yeah. Okay, so the hug.
I liked Anna's little like quips when everybody was like kind of giving their confessional.
Yeah.
She would like, I think early on you were like kind of like poking me, kind of trying to, you know, come on to me. And I was like, I thought that was so funny. Like the comic relief in between all the hard, you know, very difficult moments. I like that a lot. I like that.
we did laugh a lot between takes.
We did.
Yeah.
I would say one of my favorite moments was the last scene that we shot upstairs, and your comic relief was on point, and you were just like, ooh, you're bouncing on the bed, and it was just, it was fun to see all the comedy that,
It was really good. In the last scene, you guys, I wish you guys would have been there. It would have been funny. But in the last scene that we did, I put my head on the bed and I just kind of sat there and I like stared at her for like a long time. And we were in the middle of a conversation and I said, you know what?
You're my favorite roommate I've ever had. You want to know something you don't know?
You want to know something you don't know? And I sat there for a long time. It was really uncomfortable and super funny. Yeah, I really liked. I think the thing that I'll remember the most is like us doing our scene, and then when we would cut, we would all just like be like, ugh, or just be like cracking up laughing or something like that. That's what I'm gonna remember the most. It was just trying to hold it together until the moment we got reprieve. We were like, okay, I can actually be here and say that was hilarious, that was great, or whatever. Yeah.
I think I'll always remember the assembly lines. So shooting this story over 7 days, but we did shoot the film over 7 days, but we did all the scenes in here over about 3 or so days. And so finishing a sequence and then sending everyone up to get wardrobe changed, re-mic'd, hair, makeup tweaked, and doing it all quite efficiently. But like the assembly line of gradually reducing each of your composure.
Shout out to the entire crew for making that like such an incredible experience. It was like very seamless. Everybody knew what they were doing, and there's a lot of us, so without the crew being so perfectly well-oiled machine, it'd be really hard to.
Shout out to all the guys. There were a lot of guys in this movie. None of them had names, with the exception of Lucky Fate with Reagan at the beginning. But we did have a lot of great male performers come in for the sex scenes, and all did a great job. Even if they were just guy at party 4, they did a great job.
But it's really cool to have a hetero movie that has some like emotional weight to it. It's really rare to have any type of hetero movie have any real.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of estrogen in this hetero movie. This is like a hetero movie that has a lot of estrogen, but only hetero sex. So. Well, I think we can end on Olivia's fashion once again.
Oh, yes. Bring it back.
Even at the reunion.
She brought fans for us all today. Too.
She did.
Yeah, so I got your
Because it was getting hot and emotional, and so
it's really hot
she had a
and
fan.
emotional, so like I would just fan people.
A true therapist.
Yeah, just taking care of everyone the entire time. All right, well, I want to thank you all for, first of all, taking the journey with us and being part of this film, and for the incredible performances that each of you gave. Thanks for coming in today to do this conversation and to be really like real and raw and sharing your experience making the movie. It definitely echoes what I was hoping to portray. Which is the power of getting this incredible group of women together and making a movie about them. So thank you all. Everybody please stay tuned, because despite the fact that these characters do not have sex in the movie, I am told that when I leave the room after this podcast reunion, that something might happen. So you might want to stay tuned for that. So yeah, everybody stay tuned. We're going to have an exclusive group scene that we'll offer as a wonderful bonus to celebrate this great production and this amazing cast. So stay tuned. Thank you guys. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
All right. Good work, everybody. We did it.